Hello everyone, Master Gardener Jill here, and today we're going to get started on our grab and grow kits. So get your kit and let's get going. Okay, let's take a look at what is in our kit. We have a planting journal, a container, 3 beans, a bag of soil, a hand lens, and a string wick. Besides the contents of your bag, you're going to need a small bowl of water and a small cup with water. I recommend that you do this activity in your kitchen. Set aside everything but our beans. Take 2 of your 3 beans and soak them in water. You should leave them overnight, or you can also check them after about 4 or 5 hours and see if they have swelled up. Once they're finished and they've been soaking long enough, they're going to look like this. They get pretty big. So here's a wet bean. See that? And here is a dry bean next to it. You can see that the dry bean is darker and quite a bit smaller. The wet bean is larger because it has absorbed all that water into its cells. So now we're going to set our dry bean aside and we're going to peel our wet bean. So the coat comes right off. The seed coat is called the testa. And as the bean absorbs water, it pushes the coat off under the ground. Now, you can take your bean and split it open the long way. And what you're going to see inside is, on one half, not much of anything. But on the other half, you can see the baby plant, the embryo. You might want to take your hand lens and examine it more carefully. The part that is hanging down is the radicle. That's going to become the root. And the little part on the inside, it looks like maybe 2 feathers. That is the plumule, and that is going to become the stem and the leaves. The rest of the bean is called the endosperm. So what we're going to do is we'll set that aside for a moment, get our journal, and we're going to draw our bean. And today we're going to be a botanist. A botanist is a scientist who studies plants. So open it up to a blank page, and using a pencil or whatever you want, you're going to draw your bean, and then we're going to add in the radicle and the plumule, which is the baby plant. This is the part that looks like it has 2 little leaves. Okay? And you can color that in any way you want. Be sure that you leave enough space for your labels. It's very important when you're making scientific drawings to label your drawing. We're going to start with our planting container. You can see that your planting container has holes in the bottom. You're going to turn it upside down, take your string wick and your pencil, and you're going to push the wick through one of the holes, just far enough so that you can reach inside and get it with your fingers and pull it up. Then you're going to take the other end of the wick and push it through holes on the opposite side. And again, pull it through so that it's halfway up and hanging out of the container. You can see on this side and on this side, the wick is hanging out. Now, if this is too difficult, you can skip this part. This is optional, but it will help your plant to be watered more evenly. All right, so let's take our soil, and we're going to pour our soil into the container. This is why you might want to do this on a piece of paper so that if you spill any, but we're not going to pour it all in. We're going to leave about 1 inch at the top of the container. So when you think you're there, maybe a little bit more. I'm just going to use my hand and take a little handful, put a little bit more in there. Now, we're going to take our wet bean that we didn't dissect from the bowl of water and place it on top of the soil. Then we're going to take the rest of our soil and pour it on top of our bean. I have to make a little bit of extra room. And see, I spilled a little. It is always good to do this on a piece of paper. So there we have it. Now I'm going to take my container and put it in the bowl of water that had my beans. There's still a little water in there, and I'm going to make sure that the wicks are touching the water and that the container is in solidly. And then I can just water a little bit gently on the top, just to be sure everything gets wet to begin with. And that is all we're going to do today. Now we just have to wait. So in about 7 to 10 days, our bean should germinate or start growing, and we should be able to see it on top of the soil. Be sure that you take your bowl and you put it in a bright place next to a window and keep it there so that the bean gets enough light to begin to grow. That's how it gets its signal. Be sure you check the water every couple of days. Never put in more than 1/2 an inch. You'll have to use your estimation powers and make sure that you have just 1/2 an inch of water into your container. That way you'll be able to see that the top of the soil is a little bit wet. So I'm going to go put this up next to my window, and I'll see you next time.